Hello everyone, welcome back to Dawn and Dreams. It is your lady Ms.Z. Thank you so much for tuning into another video. And today we're going to do past life spiritual gifts, okay? Um, Definitely some past life spiritual gifts probably have ascended on to you in this life, and it's probably why you're drawn to the craft, okay? So it's not probably going to pick up on every gift, but whatever I do pick up on, whatever resonates with you, take it as it does. Okay, if you'd like to book a reading with me, please go to dawningdreamz.com. That link will always be in the description box. And let's get started. So you can pick stone 1, stone 2, or stone 3. You want to focus on your past life gifts. Say that aloud, say it with your eyes closed, and whatever which one you feel drawn to picking, that is the one that's calling to you. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started with stone 1. What were your past life spiritual gifts? Very powerful with words. I feel like you have to hide a lot of your gifts. I feel like you would have been a very powerful spellcaster, actually. Because I'm seeing where you may have stopped something from happening that may have been lethal or, threatening for death or something like that. Anything major you had an effect on. So definitely a powerful spellcaster. For this one, I feel like if you're drawn to learning languages and stuff like that, or maybe I've heard of people waking up speaking in different languages, that's kind of where that would apply. Okay. So let's see what else comes out in the energy. Uh-oh. So you already have one coming out. Oh, 4. We'll take these 2 as well. We'll take all those. Okay. And last but not least, ooh, this is a really good one. This was, I feel like you were a very, very powerful person in the past. Very powerful indeed, okay? I don't feel like you were limited to your gifts. I feel like at that time there were very few who actually were gifted the way that you were gifted. So it's like you really had ties to help a lot of different people in a lot of different situations. All right, especially with this right here, because this honestly indicates a very, very powerful connection to your spirit guides, to spirits, of course, the divine energy. But I definitely feel that you had like some spiritual warriors that were definitely around you and are still around you to this day. So they have ascended on from the past life and they still work with you today. All right, so the thing is that's really important in this is energy exchange. So if you haven't been making offerings, you definitely want to do that because they do believe in firm energy exchange. All right. You don't have to sacrifice a little rabbit or anything. I always say that, but you do have to kind of give that energy back to them in order to really work with them, because that's kind of how you were working with them in the past. You definitely had a very grave connection. If you already had that connection, that's wonderful, because it definitely brought opportunities for you. It manifested what it manifested food, it manifested abundance. So you were very, very accustomed to doing these things. Definitely a lot of cleansing. It's just a lot of ritualistic stuff that you kind of already came into this world, whether you feel like you have or not. This definitely tells me that in this life you are very woke, and that kind of indicates that this represents the child who is very naturally gifted, probably just doesn't understand a lot of things, but they already have the veil lifted on their head. And again, great connection to the ancestors. It's just something that's passed down to you, and even in a different life, it's going to ascend. Okay? So let's look at some of the other stuff. Things will unfold as they should, because you may feel very, very powerful, and you definitely are. I think that it just kind of gradually comes in over time. So don't rush your gifts, okay? Don't rush your connections. Don't rush being able to do everything. It is gradually coming, and you definitely are very gifted. It seems like things come in little by little, not to frighten you, okay? Because it seems like you could be very, very powerful, and you could pick up on a lot more things. I definitely see vision, and also being able to feel things, strongly in your being, to the point that you can predict things through feelings, like clairsentient. And also clairvoyant, being able to see what's going to happen next before it happens, through visions as well. So definitely pay attention to your dreams and things that go on around you. But you have spiritual growth, new gift. So you're not limited. You weren't limited in your past life. You had a lot of things going on. Deep trauma holds you. So I really feel like you may have picked up on a lot of burdens in your past life, to where it was very like you were going out of your way. And that's the main thing that I see. I feel like not that you died that way, I don't want to get into that, but I will feel like you put a lot of sacrifice in for yourself and for other people, a lot for other people. So that's why, you'll probably be using your gifts, but you just have to take care of that in this life. Don't damage your gifts by overworking yourself or trying to help every soul out there. But you naturally feel gifted in that arena. Like I said, you can change things. Time prediction within months. So you're going to see some sudden changes in your gifts. But I think this is really for the better. So don't look at it as a bad thing. Always very curious in your past life. But this tells me that you didn't put up with, any bull crap. You didn't put up with that. A very wise and energetic person in your past life. Okay, so that's what I get as far as your spiritual gifts and how you lived out your past life with those gifts, okay? So we're going to go on to the next. Okay, so for this one, let's see what your past life gifts were. Okay, so there was definitely a connection to animals. You're definitely a person that studies a lot. Attention to detail. I just feel like more than just being spiritual, you have to make sense of things. So like you would have been, as we call it today, an astrologer. But back then, or, astrology, back then it might have just, been with whatever, you could think of in the past life. Because we know that it wasn't that extensive, but it still was to a point that you analyzed a lot of things. You would like things to make sense, but you did still study the occult and things of that nature. So you kind of were involved in a different way. And I feel like spiritually, just a great connection to animals. But I really feel like you are a person that like things to make sense. And it's funny you have the snake here because I believe that is the only animal that I have in this deck. The only animal. Okay, so we have this falling on the floor here. Let me get one more card. Oh. I think that's it from that. Okay. That is hilarious. Okay. So, because you definitely have, you know, one of the wisest cards in this deck, that I like to call it, because this is somebody who was very bent on her heritage. She knew a lot about her heritage, very, very much so that she got into a position to where, you know, she had to humble herself a little bit because she was kind of just bored, just very bored with life, bored with what's going on, and just kind of not even realizing that a long time ago she was at a point to where she went through the struggle. She learned the ways of her people. So not that that kind of relates, but I can definitely say that um, I feel like in your past life, you definitely had it to where your spiritual practice definitely puts you in a better position, definitely a position of authority, because and like I said, it just represents being very wise. So definitely learning things of your tribe, and you may feel a connection. If you don't have a tribe in this lifetime, you'll probably feel drawn to finding out your family or your ancestry. You may be very drawn to finding out that information about who you were because the secrets lie within your ancestors. But even, you know, without that connection, which is with you, but even if you don't know to that extent, you are very smart and very intelligent. You pick up on things very quickly. And this represents the energy of an empath in your past life as well. And I feel that strongly because to have a connection with animals, typically there's no words to speak to an animal. Now, some people, you know, speak to them, but essentially, sometimes you don't have to speak to an animal to be able to pick up on their messages, like telepathy or something, like in that type of arena. Because you have the energy of empath. And this doesn't just have to be animals. It represents that you had a connection with, you could pick up on other people's feelings. You pick up on the emotions of others, other people around you. You can tell how they feel about you without them saying anything. And this also means that you could pick a person out in the crowd as far as who you want to be around and who you don't want to involve yourself with, because you already know. You already know who they truly are, what they're truly about, and if they're faking. You know, because this represents you knew I was a snake when you took me in. So a lot of times, you know, even though you love, you still can tell who's gonna, you know, do some bad stuff and who's not really real, who's just trying to get close to you for certain reasons. You can pick up on that really easily. And this also gives me the energy of, again, picking up on spirits as well. Because it seems like energies attach themselves to you. This also serves as justice. Like you like to bring justice to people and what was going on in situations. Because, like I said, you kind of matched intelligence with spiritual things, with the intuitive, basically. And sometimes that doesn't really mix well because you have the science, what is, and then the metaphysical, what you can't see. So you may have challenges with that in this life. But like I said, a very because this also represents just a very, very confident person as far as what they know. And it's kind of like, what's next? What's next for me? So back in the day, I could definitely say in your past life, you definitely got to a point where you were kind of just bored, very, very bored with stuff. You kind of learned things very quickly, or you knew the next best thing very quickly. So it just kind of put you in a position to where you would need to humble yourself again because you were very intelligent. So that's nothing to be nothing bad, but I can see that you may become overconfident with the knowledge that you know, and you may be put in situations to where you're going to have to learn again, if that makes sense. Because you were definitely, I would say, a know-it-all back in the past life. Like you knew what was coming, you knew what was going. You were very scientific, very to the point. So it's kind of interesting because it's like it's two different roles. You have the role where you can be very spiritual, but at the same time, you have the knowledge behind certain things. So that's very, very conflicting, I would say. But nonetheless, it shows that you had a lot of knowledge, more than the next person, about being spiritual. So you may be in a lot of great debates in this realm where you're arguing with people about what's right and what isn't. Okay, so that is what your past life gifts were. So let's go on to the last one. Let's see. What were your past life gifts? Weirdly enough, and this may not be considered a gift, but it's a gift to me, you definitely kept people into unity. Let's see if we can go more into detail into that. Okay. All right. Last but not least. All right, that's all I want to take out. Okay, so there may have been a lot of falling apart around you. I don't know, but there seems to be a lot of falling apart when it comes to the past life. So definitely trying to keep things together for the people around you. Okay. And the crazy thing is the shaman wanted to come out, but I kept shuffling and it still came out. So the shaman shows that, yeah, you definitely had a lot of wisdom, very, very wise. And I want to say connection to all things, because even the trees had a lot of respect for you. I feel like you may be a person of herbs, a person that kind of just learns the wisdom of the land and the way the trees move, the way things grow, stuff like that. The way the wind blows. I feel like people come to you for that connection. And also, you are very, very uplifting in your past life, pushing people back into the right direction. But in the past life, it doesn't seem that you thought of it that way. You didn't really think of it as a gift because you have, I don't trust that voice. So you very well may be hearing things in this lifetime. When I mean hearing things, I mean from the spiritual realm directly, because it seems like you got messages from the spiritual realm on what to do in certain situations when things were chaotic. And maybe you didn't look at it that way as a gift, or maybe you didn't really acknowledge it as a gift. But when you have, and it's funny, I said trees there, and this is the big tree right here. Okay, the connection to trees is something evident too. It's something about just knowing the ways of the land, a respect for all things living. But I feel like this kind of drove you to a place to where you were constantly doing things for others, because there's a lot of baggage here. I don't feel like in your past life you were very appreciated for all the things that you were doing, because it seems like, behind the scenes you were doing so much for people and bringing them happiness, but I don't feel like it was acknowledged enough in your past life. I think people really, and I hate to say that because I don't want to say you were being used, but a lot of ways I feel like people used you for your talents and may have looked at it like it just was just something normal or something. I don't know, but it just seems like people didn't really appreciate how much you were able to offer to them. And I, and again, with me even saying that, you have the snake undetected. So that basically means, people that you love and trust, but they're still a snake and they're undetected. Meaning people close to you, around you, probably drained your energy in a lot of ways because of what you were able to do for them. And so in this life, it is important to acknowledge your gifts, um, and what you're capable of doing. Acknowledge your connections. Acknowledge the fact that, what is it, clairaudient? I feel like that would be a definite gift for you. Being able to hear through other realms. Because those messages that you receive, you definitely passed on, and you definitely helped people. And I feel like you were a very person that made a lot of decisions, strong decisions towards what people needed to do. And that leads me to my last thing here. I think that you were a person that definitely did divination, because I'm seeing that you had to make a lot of decisions. And with those decisions, like when someone comes to a shaman, depending on what type of shaman it is, whether it's coming to them for medicine, you could have very well been a person who provided that, with the connection to the trees and the plants. And you also could have been a person with being able to decide the future, who did divination for people. They would come to you. And I don't feel like you got enough credit back in your past life, but you definitely made a lot of changes for other people. But yes, okay, so I'm done talking. I can talk all day. But that is your past life spiritual gifts. Again, if you would like to book a reading with me, go to dawningdreamz.com. Make sure that you like and subscribe if this video resonates with you, and share this video for whoever else you want to help. And I will see you guys in my next video. Peace out.